What's up, YouTubers? It's time for the knife of the year for 2023 for my channel. This is just those knives that I have reviewed, not those that I've only done a snap impressions or first impressions on. Those aren't going to cut it. It's only going to be those that I've done a full and proper carry and or taken it out to a campground in the case of fixed blades, and had a chance to actually do a full review, which by my calculations were 15 folder knives and 6 fixed blade knives. So I'm going to be pulling from there. I'll first narrow it down to my top 5 and kind of, what my thought processes were in coming up with those top 5. But first, I really did want to just say thank you so much to my subscribers and viewers. 98% of you that do view my videos are not subscribers. Would love a few more if we get a chance. I'm going to be definitely giving away some more knives as soon as I get over 2,000. I'm at about 1,400 at the end of 2023, so I appreciate very much those that have stuck around. Hopefully the content is somewhat interesting, if not useful, but I really do want to thank you for that, and there's going to be more going ahead. Actually, before we get into my first thoughts on the year of 2023, I did want to say that I did give away 9 knives this year as part of my once I hit 1,000 subscribers, which I did, and it wasn't just to people in specific videos, people that make comments and that sort of thing. I said, hey, you want a knife? And I gave those away. So it was 9 knives valued at over $1,000. And they went from Alaska to Ohio to all the way to Sweden and Serbia. So yeah, I actually had some giveaways in Europe, and I was happy to do that. They're pricey to ship and that sort of thing, but you know what? I'm glad I did. So this particular knife right here is not up for Knife of the Year because I have not done a full and proper carry. This is TH Blade Crafts, a custom knife. I don't exactly know the model. I think it's like a Scout or something like that. But it's just a little guy. It's beautiful. It has layers of nickel in there. It's done by Baker Forge and Tool in terms of the Damascus there. Or it's not Damascus, sorry. It's San Mai. But yeah, so Tyler, wherever you are, definitely peace and greetings to you. The first thing I want to talk about for the year review, before we get down to the top knives, is I'm just going to go over what I consider kind of 5 of the biggest things that I kind of experienced. The first one is the year of MagnaCut. It's not the year that MagnaCut was first released, but it is the year that it definitely infused itself into production knives. Here we have the Demco knives, Free Reign. Did the review on this one. Excellent, excellent blade. We'll go ahead and jump to the next one. This is the Creeley blades. Actually, this is the N690, but I do have a Creeley blades made in MagnaCut, and really the point is here is this Mako. Gary Creeley does an amazing job with his heat treats. Pushes it to a really good level. For me, I was absolutely sold, and that was in fact not this particular one, but the one I did review for. Really, I became sold on it. The ability to sharpen, the stainlessness, how long it retained an edge, everything about it was excellent. But they really made their way heavily into production knives. So Hogue, the Deca, which was a standard classic already, and it's a very youthful age. Those became available in MagnaCut, and everybody was getting those and outfitting them with the original goat. And then we have the Spartan Harsey came out. This is the Sasquatch edition from USA Made Blade, and yeah, so MagnaCut definitely is not going anywhere. It meets everything that modern knife geeks want. So I consider it the year of the MagnaCut, even though it wasn't the year that MagnaCut first came out. The next big buzzword story of the year for me was the CPM 15V steel, developed in combination with Spyderco and Big Brown Bear. Apparently, I have not yet tested this. I was never able to get a folder in it, but I did get one of their fixed blade mules, and we'll be testing this out in the coming year, 2024. But yeah, so the 15V steel, that was all the buzz. Like I said, it's kind of a unicorn, tough to get one of those knives. They came and gone instantly. I definitely think that was something high on the radar. The next big story of the year for me, personally, was Original Goat. These folks are, I think, out of Florida. This is aluminum for the Deca. Skinny. It made it for a longer, more neutral grip. Excellent. Other aluminum ones with beautiful customized colors. You have this nice Tequila Sunrise one here. This is for the 80-20.5. These are the fat ones. Gives you a bit wider grip. So you have your aluminums, you have your Kieranite. Kieranite is basically, it's like bowling ball material. It's an acrylic, very strong, tough, light, super light, great for milling at high temperatures and gripping. Again, another Hodeca. And then Lexan. This is another high heat, great milling one. This is kind of a competitor to Ultim in a sense. This is the Demco Knives 8020 Slim. Absolutely love it. And then, of course, they're doing plenty with the big boys and titanium as well as their texturing. So as far as I'm concerned, Original Goat, they had, they've already been around for a little while, but they just took the number of models that they had. I have so many more here that, I have more that aren't even on here. I wanted to kind of cover each of the materials that they have. But Original Goat really kind of killed it this year by my book, and they're going stronger next year. They're going to be doing the MSI for Microtech. So that's a fairly new knife, and they're going for it right out of the gate. So Original Goat, definitely a story for the year. The next story for me that really emerged strong for the year was the backlog of production relief. Following COVID, there's just basically been nothing but a backlog of production. And this, for me, was kind of the year that everybody who really wanted a Hinder finally got a Hinder. This is the XM18 slicers. They're still available as of the production of this video. Here's a 3-inch slicer with no flipper. And then this is kind of the one that's a little bit tougher to get a hold of. They just haven't done a whole lot of production. That's the Project X. But this is definitely the year that folks got a Hinder who really wanted it. And lastly for me, again, every year there's always knife reviewers in the knife reviewing community that designs knives, but there seemed to be an exceptional breakout this year. Lefty EDC came out with Colin Maison Pierre. This is the Devo Buzz, definitely up there for me for one of the knife of the years. Just really meets all the things that a reviewer would shoot for. And then also the Bob DeMarco, the Knife Junkie. Finally had a chance to come out with his, what I consider probably the best for me kind of new design. I normally don't like recurves, but this just has a gentle recurve. It's the Nova 1 for Northern Virginia 1 buoy, and it's an EDC sized, beautiful micarta. This I look forward to actually doing a full Karen review next year. So that's kind of for me. Those are the stories really, and I think just the knife reviewer community actually came out with some great actual designs of their own. So my knife of the year in 2022 was the Midnight Jack from Jack Wolf Knives. This is a ram's foot, and I just had the opportunity to get a Northwoods Leatherworks slip for this. It makes it the perfect knife. So my first category is going to be slip joints. And for the slip joints, my two top ones really were the Lake Champlain Barlow, and really from Jack Wolf Knives, the Laid Back Jack. I consider the Laid Back Jack probably the third best for me of the Jack Wolf Knives slip joints, and it really met everything that one would need. I love the Warncliffe blade on it. But this year, actually, I'm going to give the Lake Champlain just a notch up, and we'll talk about why on that. So for a price that was more modest at only $200 versus the $300 roughly for the Jack Wolves, you got, they went with a nice, very thin hollow grind. QSP was in fact the manufacturer for these. You have a great different selection, versus the Ohio River Jack, which had a few, and it was Austin Jackson's first crack at production, again using QSP as the manufacturer. But you had so many different choices. You had, full titanium, so many different choices. And it very neutral hand grip, but also hand filling. A very, very good knife. I love that it actually has enough bite on the back to strike a ferro rod, but was not too sharp. So that if you did want to use a little bit of, a saber grip on that, it was everything that I think a modern slip joint is, but it kept that price down. So the winner of the slip joint category for me was the Lake Champlain Barlow. In the category of higher end folder, this was by far the toughest for me. I'll just open them up. So the first one is the TW Price Dawn 2. It's basically almost like a full titanium with contouring and texturing bug out. Excellent, excellent knife. The Devo Buzz, again, this is from Lefty EDC and Colin Maison Pierre, Kevin. It's got a great buzz cliff, aka it's a one cliff, a nice hollow grind. Look at that thing, it's sickly thin. It meets all the desires for fidgetability, deployability, top. This one is just excellent, the Devo Buzz. And then there was, very early on in the year, was the Grambo knives from King Grambo. This is called the Russ, and this one's very interesting. This particular knife actually has an overlay, so it's basically a frame lock, but it has an overlay of titanium that has a nice texturing on it. So these knives are any one of them could be like a knife of the year, literally. And honestly, it came down to what fits my style. If your style is more a hollow ground Warncliffe, and you kind of like the top flipper, then the Buzz might be the one for you. It wasn't for me. And then likewise, I think it came down to, this is just a little bit smaller, the Dawn, and that one, I don't know, I like a full hand feel. And the King Grambo or Grambo knives Russ just met the needs. It was thick enough at the tip, decent enough of a hollow grind. I am a thumb stud guy, kind of prefer those. It works better in gloves than do kind of these other things that have, just insets. And also, this one flips with the backside. So, yeah, for me, the upper end, I'm going to call the upper end folder is going to be the Grambo knives Russ. In the budget folder category, this was relatively easy. It came down to two. One is the Civivi Sokoki, and the other is the Vosteed Cutlery Thunderbird. And the Thunderbird, for all of its excellent button lock, fidgety glory, I did love everything about it. It is just very flat in the hand. It comes down to it's a little bit thin for me. And so once again, in this particular case, the Civivi Sokoki, which I had actually had loaned to me from a viewer, Brian. Thank you, Brian. And I actually went ahead and bought one myself because I knew this is crazy. This is a Ray Laconico design liner lock. It has beautiful natural micarta. You can see the layering on that. Just really good. So it has excellent contouring. It just fills the hand so perfectly. The action is Civivi ridiculous good. Again, a thumb stud. Yeah, I am slided towards thumb studs. This has an incredible top flipper too. I'm not the best at those with my finger, but this one just works. This one, I think it's out of 14C28N steel, like Nitro V. But boy, the Civivi Sokoki, tough to argue with for a budget knife. This one I think was like $65. By the way, this one, the Vosteed, was like $120 or $130. So I think still in a relatively budgeted line. But yeah, the Civivi Sokoki is the winner of the budget folder category. Okay, in my fixed blade category, boy, I was all over the map here. We have some production where it's a combination of USA, where the knife is made in the USA, and the sheath is made in Taiwan. You have full made in the USA, so that was the Demco Knife Free Reign, the LT Wright Bushcrafter, which I had for a couple years, but hadn't really taken it out and used it properly. And then a full custom here. This is from TH Bladecraft, Tyler Holman. And this was a custom knife, a Camp XL for $250. It's AEBL steel. I beat the snot out of that. Love this thing. It has birchwood handles. So, yeah, is that atypical to get a custom knife, for $250? Yes, it is. But in this particular case, it was up and available at USA Made Blade, and I jumped on it. Love AEBL steel. I know it's a great overall stainless. So this was a really tough one. I mean, the first one I can say that I could knock out of it was the Demco Knives Free Reign, primarily because the texturing here, and those of you that have seen that video know that it was just a little bit aggressive for me. And yeah, you can sand it down. I went ahead and wrapped some paracord around it, and that really made it a lot better. But I still don't think it was refined for, really what would be considered knife of the year. For me, in this case, it's so tough because this LT Wright Bushcrafter does everything a bushcrafting knife you'd want out of it. It was only these go for right now about $114. 1075 steel, thinner than a bug out. absolutely beat the snot out of it. You can baton on this thing, neutral grip. You can hold it in every position. A very great functional sheath with a dangler, you know, and honestly, in the end, I think the reason that the Bushcraft wins is because of that sheath. I am a dangler guy. I could always just buy a hanging dangler. This TH Bladecraft is excellent. It's going to be a little bit big for most people, so it's not going to be, you know, like a super great carry on your side. And for me, carrying a knife is as important as actually using the knife. You know, that's why I'm not going to have like really big ones. Like I did review Work Tough gear as well as a top Storm Vector this year, but no, this is, for me, the LT Wright Bushcrafter is absolutely an excellent value. And actually, I'm going to be giving this one away as soon as I hit 2,000 subscribers. So get me there, and this one's going on. This one's going to find its way to Germany, to Jochen, one of my followers. So, yeah, the LT Wright Bushcrafter is the winner of the fixed blade category. Okay, and to round out the top 5, this is what I call my everything category. It's just like a great all-arounder. I don't care about price necessarily. You know, this is a this is a $495 knife. This was roughly $225, and this one was $375. So these are a little bit higher, more expensive, and as one would expect, they're going to be in there. But these are this top one is the Jack Wolf Knives Gunslinger Jack. This was Ben Belkin's foray into locking blades, and he brought all the DNA that he had done in the slip joints with a super thin, slicey blade. You know, I do love the fact that there's multiple side deployment here. This one works well left-handed with that fuller. The top flipper works really, really well. Obviously, this is just excellent materials construction, and everything about it is really good. So that definitely has to be in consideration. The LTK, you know, we talked about those knives that are basically developed by reviewers, and, you know, LTK, love them knives, was a long-time reviewer, still does reviews. This Result is an excellent knife. Every single thing about it is well thought out, well executed. The materials, the construction. As a button lock goes, it's as good as a ProTech in terms of the plunge lock management. Everything about it. The only thing that might end up being a little bit goofy is what ends up being very good in the open position. I'll go ahead and show that. You have a really good guard there. But in the closed position, it kind of looks like a little bit of a big tail fin, you know. So the little big tail fin might kind of knock it out, and that would be one. You know what, I'll just go ahead and knock that one out. It's definitely going to be between these two. And then the last one is a 100% USA made. Again, we talked about MagnaCut. This is the Nick Nichols Guppy. I used to be kind of a snob about blade to handle length, or blade to handle ratio, rather. And this one, absolutely, this is the knife that absolutely changed my mind on it. It has a very long handle, full size, but then a short little 3.06 inch blade, full titanium. I love the mix. It's a Micarta Especial inlay there. Adds a touch of beauty. Obviously, if it gets wet, it's going to get a little bit stickier in hand. Everything about this one, the only thing I really think it was missing is some additional deployment method. I was thinking like a fuller here would be excellent. I don't think it would affect the integrity of the knife. You could go ahead and utilize that, and it would well clear. So, you know, hopefully with Nick Nichols' second folder, something like that's going to happen. So between these two, it is literally a toss-up. I think in the end I have to go with the Jack Wolf knives just because of those additional deployment methods. You know, you're talking about, again, $500 knife. This is almost $400, but I do, it brought, everything was excellent about the Jack Wolf knives slip joints, and just made it into an actual fidgetable and very usable. Carried this for a month, beat the heck out of this blade, actually. Very good heat treat on it. S90V? Yeah, S90V. So this was really, really good. That would be my 5th entry into the Knife of the Year. Okay, so what are we left with? These are the final 5 knives that I have for the best of 2023. Again, those are just the knives that I have reviewed. It doesn't mean they came out in this year. Obviously, the LT Wright Bushcrafter has been out forever, but I finally had a chance to do a proper use carry at camp. And you know what? I'm just going to start eliminating these. I really don't know. I have a suspicion of the final 2, but I'm going to start eliminating. Really, in the end, for me, 2023 was about achieving value and bringing people in to buying better knives, but those that they could afford. And so as much as the Jack Wolf Gunslinger is excellent in every capacity, the materials and everything, it's at $375, it's just going to drop out a little bit. It's not a super high value knife. Same thing with the Grambo knives, Russ. Love this knife, but I believe it was $275. It's in that realm, and so that one's going to drop out. So we're really left with a $114 knife, $65 knife, and then a $200 knife. I think the Lake Champlain Barlow is excellent, marvelous knife. But when I kind of put it up feature for feature against what I'm looking for, and really just it's hard for me. It's hard to say goodbye to this one because it is every bit worthy of being a knife of the year. Like I said, the materials are excellent, the craftsmanship great, the design by Austin Jackson, traditional pocket knives, C. Risner cutlery, excellent. But I think, again, at a $200 price tag, that leaves a lot of people out. And so these are the knives that, for the every person, you're talking about, again, we're down to, I'm going for value this year. Given the fact that this was a year that every single thing went up through the roof, these are knives that held their value. If you're going for a fixed blade knife, value, useful, excellent, the LT Wright Bushcrafter every time. It meets every single thing that you're going to probably need in a small bushcrafting fixed blade knife. As far as a folder, you want a stylish one. This Ray Laconico designed Sokoki, made by Civivi. Again, it's tough to argue. The knife is essentially flawless. This is a $60, $70 knife that behaves like a $200 knife. It really does. It could, other than the steel, which is, I think, again, Nitro V or 14 C28N, still a good mid-grade steel. It 100% bats with $200 and $300 knives. So I think the argument could be made for either one. I think in the end, for me, I love my fixed blades. I do. But I think in this case, the Civivi Sokoki, it so surprised me. This one, everything about this knife when I carried it was just incredible. You don't normally get excellent made micarta, contouring, a back, nearly a full length backspacer with matching material that it literally mates up perfectly. It's ambidextrous in that you can mount it, the clip, left-handed or right-handed. It's fully deployable. As far as, for lefties. So this would be a perfect lefty made knife. This meets every single checkbox, a decent steel. The bead blasting would be my only complaint about this, is if it would have been stonewashed. I just simply prefer it better. But for me, I think this Civivi Sokoki is the knife of the year. I hope this was interesting, if not useful, to help you decide what knives will fit in your collection or make the best for your year. I do hope you have a wonderful, happy new year, and I look forward to a decent number of giveaways next year. Maybe not $1,000 worth, but definitely I already have a few identified, and I do hope to see you in 2024. Have a happy new year. Take care.